enough now to explain itself to you as it goes. So I think for the average listener, that's a massive unlock. Someone who's never built software before can just think of something and then create it in an hour. And that just wasn't true, 6 months ago.
Well, I agree with Dave, and he's right, but people have to go beyond that, okay? Like anyone can create a piece of software, but first of all, it has to be useful to you. And second of all, if you want to sell it, you've got to have a business strategy, a marketing strategy at least, or at the very least, a sales page. And that's where most people are failing. They may become builders or creators of software programs, but the next step is to become an entrepreneur. I talked about this in my book, Systematic Wealth Creation, where people go from workers to creators, and that's where most people are today. But they have to go from creators to entrepreneur. You have to create a business, even like a micro business, and start to make money, or at least get users, right? And then from entrepreneur, you set up a business, it becomes a real business, you become a business operator or owner. And so that's the path. And right now, I think that most people are stuck at the creator phase. You can create tons of stuff, like AI agents, software programs, etc. But you have to summon the courage and the leadership to go out there and sell what you've created. I have a Python program that generates a business plan for people so they can transition from being creators, which is easy. Any teenager can create something, even a software program. You can transition from being a creator to being an entrepreneur. And the best way is to have a business plan. It's a little bit like the opening sequences in chess. The opening sequences are the same. Whether you're Magnus Carlsen or Stockfish, you're going to use the typical the first 10 moves to open, the game of chess and position yourself correctly. So the business plan allows you to make the first opening moves so that you set up your business correctly, and then you can play the game of business. But my point is that creating something, even a very good software program, is just like 5 or maximum 10% of a business. And my automatic business planner can generate your business plan and allow you to progressively, do the 90% that will make you a real business owner.
Hey everybody, you may not know this, but great. A new release with new numbers over and over and over again. At the end of the day, stuff is getting better. It's getting cheaper. It's getting faster. What does the average user, do you recommend someone sticking with a particular model? I'm just going to be on OpenAI. I'm just going to be on Anthropic. I'm just going to be on Google. Any thoughts there?
See, I think.
So Peter points out a real challenge because, people can just waste time exploring and comparing one model after another. And a lot of technical people do that. Like they get on the latest model and they are easily impressed by all the gadgetry and the shining, new features. But that's not how you make money. Like just pick one model. Like I picked DeepSeek V4 and I created an account, and I can start, making API calls, and I, can create like a business plan service where I use DeepSeek to create something and make money from it. And so people have to stop being users of AI and actually builders. Use AI to build something, to create something. That is the path to economic and financial freedom. Because as long as you're using ChatGPT or Claude, you're not doing anything productive. Using is like consuming. You're consuming tokens, but you're just getting impressed. Of course, that being said, if you're doing a lot of prompt engineering, you're on track. You're practicing your prompt engineering. But at some point, you got to stop prompt engineering and start to build something, like app engineering or software engineering. You gotta, and it is possible because you don't even need to know how to program. I don't know how to program in Python, and yet I'm building Python programs that make API calls. So I've moved to the next level, where I'm not, just a user, but I've become like a creator of tools that I can use to serve my clients.
Matter a lot whether you're using Claude 4.7 or GPT 5.5. Just use one of the latest ones, but ask it to install itself. Ask it to build something on your laptop for you, and it just works now. You don't have to understand the Linux command line. You don't have to understand any of the underlying infrastructure. It's smart enough now to explain itself to you as it goes. So I think for the average listener, that's a massive unlock. Someone who's never built software before can just think of something and then create it in an hour. And that just wasn't true, 6 months ago.
Well, Dave is right. People today can create software programs to become more productive, but it's not that different from using software programs off the shelf out there. Like I use PowerPoint, Word, Excel, etc. And so, yeah, you can create custom applications and software programs to become more productive, but that's for you. So Dave is right. You have to become a creator and not just a user getting answers, but actually create software programs on your computer. But I want to invite you to go beyond that, because it's one thing to create tools for yourself, but it's a different thing to create tools that will allow you to serve other people, like my business plan generator, where people just fill out a Google form and my Python program would make API calls to LLMs and it would generate a business plan for customers. And that's how you make money. You build a tool that allow you to provide a good service to customers anywhere in the world. You can even sell the tool. I mean, I'm also selling this Python program to power users, maybe for $500, and once they pay it, they can pay me in monthly installments as well. They're going to be able to use my business plan generator and make money. But before they do that, it's best if they become affiliates and they make $30 every time I charge $100. So anyways, that's my take. And these podcasts, Peter Diamandis, the Moonshot podcast, it's good, but they're still at a very high level. You got to get onto the ground. And I think there's a need for people to do that. Greg Eisenberg is probably the best one so far, where he's showing entrepreneurs, how to create new businesses. He's very practical, whereas Peter Diamandis is he's talking at a very high level. And you have to remember that, every time that you're watching a video that is not helping you move the needle, you incur an opportunity cost. So every 5 minutes that you're spending on this podcast, you're not spending it to learn the technical stuff from Greg Eisenberg, or you're not spending it learning yourself, because Greg is great, but nothing beats actually doing it. And that's what my membership club, Make Money with AI, is all about. We're not talking much, we get into a Zoom session and we actually do stuff. So it's not about watching passively a YouTube video. You can watch YouTube videos to get inspiration and get ideas, sure, but at some point you got to get down to the nitty-gritty details of building a tool. And that's what our club allows you to do.